Yatsana ko nana Hawaii 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 yatsana ko.
I want to tell you a great story about the big fish, and this is the way I heard it from my family. A long time ago, here at Mono Lake, the Indians heard about this big fish coming, and it was going to come over the mountains here. So everybody took off, and all the men, they went up like where Tioga Pass is today, and they tried to make a big like rock place up there so the fish couldn't come through. But it was so big that it did break through there, and the rocks just scattered everywhere. And also, when it came, it was descending down into Mono Lake, and it formed this big canyon that comes down out of Tioga Pass there into Mono Lake. So when the fish got into the water at Mono Lake, he didn't feel real good about the water at Mono Lake. So he jumped out of the lake and went over where June Lake is, and the water was fresh, and it was good for him. So he spawned some eggs there, and some fish there, but he had to move on because the lake was too shallow. So he went to the next lake, Gull Lake, that's too shallow. So he goes to Silver Lake, it's too shallow. Grant Lake's too shallow, but he made these little baby fish on his way going there. And so then he comes back into Mono Lake. The Indians decided that they wanted to try to keep this fish in the lake, and they put rocks on him. And they got the rocks from the south of the lake over here, in the area towards the White Mountains, and that's how we get the White Island from the those people, our people putting the rocks on the fish. And he was fighting in the water, and when he was trying to get out of there, and he was so big that he got out, but he scraped himself, and all the scales got in the water. And when that got into the water, that's how we got our Kuzedika, and then we become the Kuzedika eaters, Kuzedika. And we call ourselves the Kuzedika. That's what it means. That's how we get our name in Northern Paiute. And then he jumps from there, and he heads over to what we call Walker Lake today. And that's how we get, in the old way, Agaidika. Because when he got into Walker Lake, it wasn't as bad as Mono Lake for salt and all the minerals. So he laid some more eggs in there and stayed there for a while. And he had a family there. So then he takes off from that lake and jumps all the way up to Pyramid Lake. And he did the same thing at Pyramid Lake. And that's how we get the Kuzedika up there. The people, I'm talking about the people at Pyramid Lake. And that's what they do. They eat that fish that's up there. And it ties us all in and shows us how we're Numudawee. We're relatives. And that we're all family, Northern Paiutes. So then he jumps out of that lake and he goes into Lake Tahoe. And that lake is big and it's good water. And he likes it, so he swims around in that lake, and he goes way down in the bottom, and he has a family, and that's how we get all those fish from this big fish. And we know he's still in the bottom of that lake today.
Mono Lake. Some parts of this saline lake seem almost like a different planet. Only the hardiest of organisms can survive. Yet the peoples who lived here adjusted to this harsh environment and thrived in it. They were called the Kuzedika. They were a branch of the Northern Paiutes, centered on Mono Lake in eastern California. They are known as the Western Mono Paiute, in contrast with the Eastern Mono or Owens Valley Paiute. The name Mono is an anglicized version of the name the nearby Yokuts gave to them, Monachi, larva eaters. Similar to Kuzedika, which means brine fly eater, a reference to the Kuzedika being known for their consumption of the pupa of the brine fly. Just like many other tribes in California, the Kuzedika Nation's lives were influenced by the seasons. In the autumn, the people moved to camps in the hills north and east of Mono Lake to collect piñón pine nuts, a staple food source. After gathering these pine nuts, they would then hunt pronghorn and rabbits, the latter of which is hides they'd use for clothing. They would then descend to the eastern part of Mono Lake, feeding on the food they had collected and living in domogani, or winter huts, with a circular stone cobble foundation and made of wood planks. Some of the sites where they set up these huts would be inhabited until the 1920s. By late summer, the Kuzedika routes along creeks and streams east of Mono Lake. During this time was when the woman would walk to the lake to collect the staple food that gave them their name, the brine fly pupa, Kutsavi. Every other summer, they would also forage for the Pandora moth larva, which they would call biagi. They would also forage plants and grains as well as hunt seasonal game. The Kuzedika would also trade with their neighbors, utilizing the trade routes of ancient California. Some resources they would export were obsidian, basketry, salt, and pinon nuts. It is believed that by the time the first Europeans arrived on their land, the Kuzedika numbered around 200. Their expansion caused the nation to not have access to their lands, leading to many of the Kuzedika becoming rangehands in the local ranches. The story and lifestyle of the Kuzedika Nation is an example of how humans adapt to the harsh conditions of the environment they enter, and also creating very unique cultures centered around them, such as in the alien landscape of Mono Lake.